Hello and welcome back to the transfer review. Chris Hamill isn't here this week. We've sacked him for gross incompetence and for touching Zach inappropriately. So today we've got Joe Tomlinson in from Football Daily. He'll be standing in. And we start with Chelsea. Antonio Conte wants to make some additions this summer. Who's he after?
Firstly, he's after Virgil van Dijk. Good Dutch name. That's according to the Daily Mirror. Not the most reliable of sources, but it's very, very easy, Pato, to see why he wants the Dutchman. 30 games played this season, 4 goals, 4.6 aerial duels won per game, that is. 1.8 tackles per game as well, although he hasn't played since January, of course, picking up that fairly sizable ankle injury. Apparently rated at about £50 million.
Oh my God.
Could well be a world record signing for a defender. You never ever know when Chelsea are concerned. Although Andreas Christensen is set to return this summer, so it could be a bit of a debate. Does he want to spend big bucks on Van Dijk, or does he want to take the risk and take back the youngster? He plays more forward passes to Christensen than Van Dijk, 1,138 this season to just 774, although he is playing in the Bundesliga and they play way more vertical football. He's also making more tackles and making more blocks than Van Dijk this season, although like I said, Van Dijk hasn't played since Christmas, so I'm not sure if he should go with Van Dijk or Christensen. What do you think? Vote in the poll above my head. I'd probably go Van Dijk, Pato.
Well, yeah, he might want some experience there. If you think that maybe he's going to bring in Nathan Ake in the long term for Gary Cahill and he's going to lose John Terry, then do you want to replace those guys with two very young people straight away?
Risk.
And Kurt Zuma's looked a bit ropey since he's come back from injury. But that isn't the only addition that he wants to make. He's also looking at his front line. Romelu Lukaku, Premier League's top goal scorer at the moment, 24 goals and 6 assists this season. That means he's been involved in more goals than anybody else in the Premier League. At 23, he's played 182 Premier League games. Plenty of experience. He scored 84 goals. He's played 58 matches for Belgium as well. 58 matches for Belgium, and he scored 23. What a man. This season as well. The thing is, we talk about his link-up play, we talk about him having a slightly dodgy touch, and that's true to an extent. But he's been quite creative this season. Okay, he's created 42 chances this year. He's also won just under half of all his duels, and he has 64% shot accuracy. So he's not taking on ridiculous efforts from range. He knows where the business is done, and it's in the penalty area. He's missed only 9 games in his entire career due to injury.
That's massive for me. I think that's a huge, huge statistic. That's like Zlatan Ibrahimovic numbers.
Yeah, that's true, actually. And when you consider that Diego Costa has struggled with hamstring issues over the last few years, Lukaku would make sense. Of course, this is dependent on Costa leaving. We think that he could go to China. If so, probably for a record fee. So in that case, with Lukaku's valuation at 65, 70 million, then you think Chelsea could meet that quite easily. Now, Conte has already said that they're going to need major reinforcements this summer. But do you see Lukaku going there, mate?
Oh God, I'm horrified to say, but I do. I would love him at Manchester United, although we'd end up paying 90 million upwards when Chelsea will probably get him for 65 million. And if you can do a direct swap and make a profit of Costa for Lukaku this summer, I think you've got to do it.
And if you like that one, then let us know in the comments below. Who should Chelsea target this summer? Let us know. Moving on now to Real Madrid, and apparently they're willing to swap James Rodriguez and Alvaro Morata for Paulo Dybala this summer. And this comes from the unimpeachable source that is The Sun.
Oh, bullshit, klaxon. The hell.
Jesus Christ, if I were Juventus, I would bite their hand off for this deal. You don't want to lose Dybala, but would you rather get 80, 90 million for Dybala, or would you rather get one of the best young forwards in the world and somebody who can immediately slot in at number 10? That's what they could get. Real spent 80 million euros on James Rodriguez when they brought him in from Monaco. They also spent 30 million euros, which was very, very low, to get Morata back from Turin because that was a buyback clause. Rodriguez is 25, Morata's 24. These guys are immediately going to go into your team and be very, very good, but they're also going to be there in the long term. They're going to be there for 5, 6 years, which is really exciting stuff. This season, they've only got 38 appearances between them. That's not enough for players of this caliber, but despite that, 16 goals and 8 assists. That's really, really good. Morata spent 2 years at Juventus, so he already knows Allegri, he already knows the system. We saw him star particularly in that matchup in the Champions League with Bayern Munich a couple of seasons ago when he was absolutely sensational. He played 63 games at Juventus, scored 27 goals. What a man. It's really impressive. And so if I were Juventus, I think this is a great deal. But the question is, can Real Madrid tempt Paulo Dybala? And are Juve going to let him go?
I think that Juve will not want to let him go.
Yeah.
Firstly, let's just get it out of the way. This is complete absolutely no way this is happening in a million trillion years. Firstly, player swap deals never happen.
Yeah, that's true.
They're 1 in a million. Absolute once in a blue moon. So 2 players for 1 player is never fucking happening. Absolute bollocks from the Sun, have to say. But Paulo Dybala, let's also not forget, he just signed a fresh 5-year contract. He's banging in goals for fun. I think he's got 40 in 85 appearances for Juventus. He's been on fire this season. He's a different type of player to Morata.
Yes.
He drops a lot deeper. He gave Barcelona real troubles because he dropped so deep against them that they didn't really know how to pick him up. But for me, I think that Dybala has a higher ceiling than Morata and James. But we have seen that Juventus potentially did the same thing with Pogba. They knew Pogba had a higher ceiling than Pjanic, but they knew they could make a massive profit and Pjanic would do a job for them and enough to win the league. And then they went out and spent hugely on Higuain. So potentially, 2 players for 1, it could work in their favour, but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. The Sun talking out of their arse.
There you go. Facts.
Over to Germany now for our next transfer story, and this is a humdinger. Bayern Munich are interested in signing Alexis Sanchez and Kyle Walker. This comes from fairly reliable kicker pattern.
Yeah, well, apparently representatives from Bayern came to Wembley to see the match against Man City the other day, and I don't really know if they've been impressed. Alexis did score, but I didn't think he was that involved in the game. In fact, I think that he's been a little bit out of it since he got that injury and went away on international break.
Yeah.
He's lost a little bit of pace or something, and I'm not sure if that'll be a permanent thing or maybe he just needs a rest in the summer, which, as we know, he hasn't had in about 4 years now. He's clearly been frustrated at Arsenal. The question is that just because he's very competitive and he's frustrated with how their season's going, or is that because he's absolutely dead set on leaving? I think he's probably going to leave.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that Bayern Munich would be as good a place as any for him. I mean, how are their wide players doing?
Yeah, their wide players are obviously phenomenal. Ribery and Robben have started a lot of games this season. However, let's not forget they're selling Douglas Costa because they can't squeeze him into the team. They've also got Kingsley Coman. Looks like they're going to make that move permanent in the summer. But Alexis Sanchez is a phenomenal player. Been involved in 38 goals in all competitions this season. That's the most of any Premier League player in all competitions. Obviously, Lukaku's done it in the Premier League. He's also created 72 chances this season, scored 19 goals, I think, something like that. And that's just in the Premier League. In comparison to Arjen Robben, he blows him out of the water. And let's not forget that Ribery and Robben both getting on a little bit. But Sanchez isn't exactly a spring chicken himself. And we've heard him say in the past that he wants to stay in London potentially, or at least stay in a certain city. Chelsea want him, City want him, PSG definitely want him. Yeah. So I don't know whether Bayern Munich would be willing to spend the bunts. I don't know whether they need to either, Pato.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. If they get Kingsley Coman in this summer, and they've got Julian Brandt coming in as well, they've still got Robben and Ribery. So if Robben and Ribery give you another 2 or 3 years, then by that time, Coman and Brandt are ready to go into the first team. Yeah. As you said, Alexis Sanchez, still a very, very good player, but I believe he's 28 this year, and that's not really potentially worth the 60 million outlay. Whereas PSG, you could see them doing it a lot more.
Spunk it on him.
Yeah, but the Kyle Walker one.
Oh God.
This is a bit more interesting. Joe, you don't like this one at all, do you?
It's absolute nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Don't get me wrong, Kyle Walker, what a phenomenal, phenomenal player, but he does not work in a Bayern Munich team that is just going to dominate possession and come out with 70 to 80% of the ball every single game. That's not what Tottenham Hotspur do. They don't work like that. Kyle Walker's going to be so high up the pitch as well. It's just going to be an absolute shitfest for Carlo Ancelotti. Let's not forget as well that when I think it was an Irish journalist asked Carlo Ancelotti about potentially signing Seamus Coleman, he was basically laughed out of the room. Obviously, Kyle Walker is a massive upgrade on Coleman, but they're a similar sort of player. Very high up the pitch, not the best on the ball in possession. For me, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't have as much of an issue with this as you do. Kyle Walker, he's in his peak years. I think he's 26 years old. He's very, very fast. As we know, he's extremely aggressive. But if you've got 70% of the ball, then that's a little bit less dangerous. Yeah. And also, he's got that ability to recover. That's something that maybe you want. Now, the issue here is that they've got Kimmich, who is a very, very good young player and can play right back to a very high level. Yeah. But we have seen a change in Carlo Ancelotti's system since he took over, which is that Pep Guardiola often fielded slightly unusual fullbacks, or had them push inside, or had them play these weird hybrid roles. And that's not what Kyle Walker's going to do, and it's not what Ancelotti has wanted traditionally. He wants a normal back four. He wants somebody to come in and replace Lahm, not who's going to be half midfield player, half right back, but an out and out right back. Kyle Walker, 80% pass completion this season. He's creating a chance every game. He's making a couple of tackles a game. He's got 5 assists this season, and he's made no errors leading to goals. Those things are useful. On the other hand, the drop from Philipp Lahm to Kyle Walker is a significant one.
And can I point out how much he would cost to get off Tottenham Hotspur? Daniel Levy is an absolute bastard of a negotiator. He's English, he's locked down to a long-term deal. This could be like a 40, 50 million pound transfer if you wanted to sign him. And there's no way Bayern are going to spend 40 million pounds on a right-back Kyle Walker when they've got young players like Kimmich coming through.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, so despite the fact that Kicker can be quite reliable, we're calling absolute bullshit on this one. Next up, Tony Griezmann. He's in here every week. According to Sky, he's wanted by Man United, Man City and Chelsea. Not the craziest claim we've ever heard. Who wouldn't want him? He's got an £84 million release clause in his contract. And that is probably about the market rate for a player of this quality, as I just said. Weird. He's been linked with Old Trafford a lot in the last few months. And probably the links are only going to get stronger now that Zlatan Ibrahimovic is sidelined. Plus, we're hearing rumours of Anthony Martial potentially being on the outs. He's insisted he wants to stay in Spain, and I believe that Diego Simeone said in an interview he thought they might get one more season out of Griezmann. Didn't mean that to rhyme. But apparently, according to a source, United were the first to come and see Griezmann, and they're the most concrete in their wishes.
Don't know what that means.
I think what that means is bunt.
Yeah.
I think Ed Woodward turned up with the checkbook.
Literally, but he is an Ed Woodward signing, isn't he? He is that sort of Galactico player that United have started chasing after, in the same sort of build of Paul Pogba, in that he's going to be massively commercially viable. Huge unveiling campaign. I'm sure that everybody, it's a shame he's not an Adidas athlete, that's the only negative. He's a Puma athlete. If he was an Adidas athlete, the deal would have been done, signed,
He's
delivered.
a Puma athlete?
He's a Puma athlete.
Jesus Christ, come to Arsenal, mate.
I know, he's now scored 100 La Liga goals in 247 games, and one thing I think Jose Mourinho will really like about him is his versatility.
Yeah.
He can play up front, in the hole, on the right, on the left. I think he likes that. Potentially doesn't want to publicly say it about Anthony Martial as well. He definitely likes it about Mkhitaryan, definitely likes it about Lingard, and he also likes it about Rashford. If he's got sort of 4 or 5 options that can all motion around in that forward area, it's a very good thing for him. Yeah. And with Zlatan out for 8 to 9 months, I think it's fair to say being more than adequate replacement.
Yeah.
Look, if you were to compare the two this season, he has 7 assists to Ibrahimovic's 5. He's created one more chance this season in the league than Ibra, 47. And let's not forget, Ibra has been massively creative for Manchester United. People don't rate that skill about him. He's also scored 1 less goal, but then we think that Ibra has had a blockbuster first campaign in the Premier League, hasn't he? So if Griezmann was to do it, I'm not sure he would have such a big goal-scoring impact. He's also converting at a better shot conversion rate. 20% of his shots are hitting the back of the net, compared to Ibra's just 14%. I would love him. However, there's massive competition. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to someone like Barcelona. I really wouldn't.
Really?
Maybe even PSG. I can see PSG chasing him heavy. Man City, massive project. Pep Guardiola, the boss. If Pep gets on the phone, he often tempts the player in. I don't think he'll go to Chelsea. I think Chelsea are more likely to get Lukaku. But I think one of the Manchester clubs, PSG, or maybe even a shot move to Barcelona, Pat. What do you reckon?
Whoa, well, you heard it here first. I'm not sure about that. I think he would fit Chelsea quite well, because we know that he can press and defend in that wide position. If he replaced Pedro rather than the striker, that could potentially make sense for me. Now, this does come from Sky. It's pretty a reasonable claim. I think that there's definitely interest there. The question is where he's going to go, but we want to know from you. Let us know in the comments below, where is Antoine Griezmann going this summer? No.
Transfer shocker time now then. Hopefully we still have that graphic somewhere in our stock archive. This one comes from the Daily Express. And the title is Philippe Coutinho is reportedly a target for Real Madrid. That's not the shocking bit, it's yet to come. As they make plans for Luka Modric's shock departure to Bayern Munich, Pato. What on earth is going on, mate?
What is going on? Is this what happens now that Real Madrid players just go to Bayern Munich to retire? Like Xabi Alonso's retiring. I don't know, let's go and see who Real Madrid are getting rid of, who's like 31. Why would Real Madrid get rid of Luka Modric? Yes, he is getting on a bit, but he's still really, really good. You maybe can only play him in half the matches now, but that doesn't mean he's worthless. We've seen it with Yaya Toure, we've seen it with Michael Carrick this season. You can be old and still contribute if you're managed the right way. Now, Coutinho's been linked with Barcelona every week this season. It's so tedious. So it would be a surprise if he went to Real Madrid, especially seeing as I'm not really certain where he fits in. He wants to play in that advanced role.
James can't get in there.
Well, he's not good. And Isco just signed a new 5-year contract today.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be playing in a number 10 role. He's not going to be playing in one of the wide positions. He's not going to be playing in central midfield. What is he going to do?
Strange.
I really don't know, mate.
And apparently the rumoured offer from Bayern for Modric is about £30 million. That personally seems cheap to me.
That seems quite expensive to me. Like, I mean, Luka Modric is one of my favourite players in the world, but as we've said, he's well into his 30s now. And I think, like, if somebody offers you £30 million for a guy who's maybe got, who's a midfielder who relies on his mobility, then maybe I'd think, yeah, we'll take that to the bank.
Maybe it's just me in a mad state of affairs that China has just muddled my brains. I'm not really sure. I think I've forgotten transfer fees. Anyway, there's also rumours that Marco Verratti could be the man to fill Luka Modric's shoes, which seems strange as well. Not the same player as Modric in any way at all. On stats this season, Coutinho is obviously going to edge Modric out. He's basically played just off the striker for 90% of the games. He's got six assists to Modric's 2, 56 chances created to 26, 10 goals to 1. For obvious reasons, it's because he's playing the whole Daily Express. He's not playing in the same position Luka Modric is he? It's maddening. They're just printing nonsense, Pato.
This is bollocks. They found one name, they've added another name, they've added 2 clubs, and they've made horse shit. Well done, Daily Express. This is classic nonsense. This is shocking. I'm glad that Chris Hamill isn't here to see this. It's a disgrace.
It'd have been spitting fire.
So that was this week's transfer review, but what juicy rumours have you seen on the transfer grapevine? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this video, why don't you check out Stat Wars? It's basically Pato and Chris talking bollocks about a quiz.
Well, it's me battering Chris. I think you're fine. But as ever, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.
Sayonara.